All right, we are on live. Today it is 1:01 p.m., only 1 minute late. Well, we're here today, and of course, I'm Brother Francis, and I am a podcaster in many different ways, and I'm here on the YouTube channel for Resonant Essentials. And so today's episode of Clear Blue Radiance is breaking news. Hey, Arinat. Breaking news. Your blessings come in small packages when grace encircles your heart. Now, I tell you, sometimes getting these titles, I get them at the very last minute. I've been hearing this in bits and pieces. But first of all, let me introduce myself just in case we have other people come through who've never been here before. Uh, I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I've been a spiritual counselor for over 40 plus years, in fact, about 45. And I enjoy helping people such as yourself gain greater clarity in your life, hopefully, help you discover your purpose in this lifetime that you are experiencing, or help you redefine the one that you have right now. We are constantly evolving all the time. And I've known many of you have heard about, hey, look at all these people, Barbara Ewing, Sonara Woods. Yay! Well, you probably know by now that the Schumann resonance is truly picking up. My mic keeps readjusting itself, so I hope all of you can hear me. So, the Schumann resonance, which is like the Earth's heartbeat, has been really picking up rapidly. In fact, over the past 10 or 20 years. And a lot of us are being affected by it. You can't sleep, or you're sleeping too much, or for the first time in a long time, you're eating ferociously. You can't stop eating, or you used to be a person that would eat a lot, and now you just don't have an appetite. And hey, Linda, so this happens because of the Schumann resonance, the Earth's heartbeat picking. Oh, I'm coming in loud and clear. Thank you. So the Earth's heartbeat is picking up. We're a part of the Earth because we're walking on it, we're living on it. And so it's causing us to move upward. I would like to feel that the Earth is beginning to rebirth itself in a whole new way. And so we're going to find ourselves feeling different, looking different, wanting to do different things, wanting to move on. Some people will feel like picking up and moving across the country, like I did 12 years ago. My late mother said that I wasn't supposed to be on the East Coast, and Albuquerque was my home. Now, it's taken me 12 years to really get adjusted to being here. And I tell you, I've fallen in love with it. I really, really, truly love living here. I love being able to go outside, go for a walk, look east outside my apartment complex and see the Sandia Peak Mountains, see the beautiful sunsets that are happening all the time. Even when we get a little bit of snow, it's beautiful. But then I wish it away. So today is this topic. It's all about recognizing the beauty of grace in yourself and in your life. Grace has been defined as unmerited, let me look at my notes, unexpected merit or reward or heavenly favor. So, when you were growing up in the Christian churches, many of us have, we would hear elders say, someone would say, hey, elder so and so, sister so and so, mother so and so, how's your day going? And that person would say, I'm blessed and highly favored. So it made you think that that one person was the only person, or those few people were the only person that was having blessings bestowed upon them. And throughout life, you've been trying to figure out, well, how can I get blessings bestowed upon myself? Well, the reality is you are grace in action. You are the one who decides to move forward, to make changes, not be still, which means you're taking action, but your action is done in a repetitious manner. We know that if you're trying to exercise, right, physically exercise, to tone the body, there's a certain series of exercises that are just for you. In other words, a slim person can't doesn't necessarily have to use the same exercises as a more heavier person, or if we say big bone person, right? Different body types. I remember when I was taking martial arts younger in college, and we're talking about some 50 years ago. I remember one of the um, systems I was studying, Japanese systems, was called Shotokan. Okay. And so the teachers said, everybody in here, there's a kata or form just for your body type. And there were four types. There was for the slender and tall, the slender person, the tall person, the stockier person, and the shorter person. So the stockier, heavyweight person would do katas that are built for them, which is making them, squattier, closer to the earth, therefore can use the earth's energy more powerfully in their body. Where the taller person is using the techniques that are airy in the sense, more mental. And so, therefore, less use on the hardware of the physical body, on the bones. Then the shorter person can use the more compact of the systems of the techniques, whether it's kicking and punching or striking. And then there's the other one. So the whole idea is there are some katas that they gave the students that fit everybody. In other words, there were different parts, sections of the kata that were made for a slender person, taller person, fast person, lightweight person, heavier, medium weight person, shorter person. It was all there. And because those kind of katas were set up that way, it actually overall, in general, strengthened everyone's body. So, in this sense, this is how grace works for you. You got to be willing to be in action and to stay in action. In other words, don't become stagnated by life's issues. Don't get into the habit of procrastination, because when you start to procrastinate, the energy behind you begins to pile up. You see that in nature, right? You see a stream and you see the shoreline. Like they say, beavers build a dam, right? So that the water can stop at a certain location for their benefit. And you see things, excuse me, you see things building up. Ooh, I have too much reflection. You see things building up, ooh, on your behalf. So you begin to see this stuff build up, energy build up. With this human resonance happening, you feel the same way. Sometimes you feel sluggish because the chi is not moving through the fascia, one of the systems of fascia lying underneath the skin on top of the muscle. So you're going to feel sluggish. You're going to feel like you can't make any movement, but you can. That's where acupressure, acupuncture, massage comes in. Person manipulates the muscle points so that the trigger point, so the chi could flow and not get stuck in the body. You have to realize that grace is really a breakthrough. Grace is breakthrough because your mindset is set on the end results and not all of the in between stuff. When we're expecting something to take place in our lives, we have a tendency to overanalyze. And when we overanalyze, we're overanalyzing all the little steps in between, from the beginning to the end, like a math problem. We figure out if I want this, or I do these series of steps, this ought to get me that. So sometimes we get stuck in the middle of between the this and the that, right? We start worrying about, well, am I really prepared to follow through on what I'm trying to achieve? One of the things you have to know is that in here, you can do it. One of the things you have to realize, you can remember that you've done it before, or you could tell yourself simply, I have been successful at this before. I'm just striving to remember how I went about doing it. So your grace has to be in action. It creates a breakthrough. Grace issues you peace, harmony, and happiness. No matter what you're doing, you're going to get peace, harmony, and happiness simply because you know what you want. But you have to think like a child. And what does a child do? A child simply expects it to happen. If a child has a dream, or they see a toy, or they see something advertised on TV or advertised in a movie theater, their heart and mind is set on receiving that. If the parent is promising that to them, they're expecting what? The parent to follow through. They're not expecting mommy and daddy to come to the dinner table later when it's their birthday, or receiving gifts at different times of the year. They're not expecting the parent to be empty handed. That child's expecting to see that gift being transferred from the parent to them. They're not worried about how the parent got it. They didn't worry about how mom and dad had to work and had to take care of a few bills and things in order to see that gift come into place. Grace has nothing to do with your personal ego. Now, we all have a personal ego that creates individuality with ourselves, but it's not really based on your individual nature at all, because each one of us is intrinsically connected to a greater force. We're a part of the action, we're a part of the journey, we're a part of the energy. We're not separated from it. So, it can happen. It's like I tell people out here in my meditation classes, if you don't know anything about meditation and it's the very first class you do, you're in a safe zone here. Nobody's judging you. All you got to do is breathe. And after 2 or 3 sessions of just showing up breathing, you get relaxed. The next thing you know, you're riding on the frequency of the group meditation. Yes, you can ride on the frequency. Grace gives you that ability to feel the energy in the atmosphere, recognize what you're feeling in the atmosphere is actually coming from yourself. Most of it is coming from yourself. I was just thinking today while I went out, came back, went across the street, got some breakfast, and came back. And I realized I was still pumping out energy. We're constantly thinking all the time. We're constantly feeling because we're very sensitive beings. The heart is fluctuating. It's beating all the time. Brainwave levels are pulsating all the time. So we're giving off energy all the time. And you can literally feel your own energy rolling off your body all the time, 24 hours a day. Even when you go to sleep, your energy is moving. There's moments when it stops. And we call that meditation, those gaps in between the inhalation and the exhalation, as doorways into the divine, as doorways looking into the heart of the creation or creator or prime creator. Those gaps between the inhalation and the exhalation, when you become sensitive enough, you see things there that you didn't recognize before. But it's not your personal ego, but it needs your resilient behavior, self confidence, and faith in yourself. Now, why would I say that? Because you do have to be resilient. And when you have to be resilient, meaning you're a comeback kid. When you feel down, you re-strengthen, you rebuild, you restructure, and you get your mindset together and you're back on track. So you're this resilient person. You can't lose. You can't. One of the things you learn throughout life, if you are a spiritual, metaphysical person, is you really don't die. You just move from one body, one realm of consciousness, one dimensional time into another. And the more you can remember that in the beginning and in the middle and toward the end, the easier it is for you to cross over, because then you cross over and you're aware that you're seeing and you're feeling things. I remember reading the book Saved by the Light by Daniel Brinkley, Danion Brinkley, Birnkley. And he was a guy that in the beginning, he was a womanizer. He wasn't a nice guy. And he was talking on the phone, I guess, to a woman friend of his, or they were having an argument, and thunder and lightning was going on. And the lightning struck his house. But he probably didn't have one of those rods. Those houses are supposed to be built with a metal rod, so if it gets struck by lightning, it goes down the rod and gets grounded in the earth. In his case, it came through the kitchen faucet where he was standing, and he was on the phone. So now you have electromagnetism through the phone and natural electromagnetism in the water, and he got struck by lightning inside his house. After being revived in the hospital, he began to have some shifts. One of the shifts was, here was a guy who was a womanizer and an alcoholic on some level, and his mindset began to change. He started having abilities to see things, from the psychic standpoint that he really didn't believe in. Well, after he had a little bit more confidence with himself, he started to, I think, revert backwards a little bit to who he used to be, because that's what he was accustomed to. So he was having this inner battle with himself, and eventually he didn't want to be on the earth anymore. So he sees and knows that there's a thunder and electrical storm that looked pretty intense, like the one that hit him. Like in the movie Powder, he runs out wishing to be hit, to be struck by lightning, but he wanted to die this time. Well, he got his wish, went out there like grace, unmerited reward, boom, he got struck by lightning. And this time he had one of those I think like a near death experience. But here's the bottom line, he changed forever. He really started experiencing those near death experiences in that moment and realizing, hey, I got to change. I don't need to be struck twice. Not many people can be struck once and live through it, but to be struck twice and still live, that's like saying, hey, I must have something very important to do, because I should have died the first time and definitely the second time. So he began to change his life. He began to acquire more peace, harmony, and happiness in his life. He got rid of the personal ego side, and he had this resilient behavior not to go back and act negative again, not to drink anymore, not to be a womanizer, become a nicer person. In other words, he fought off the demons, the shadow self, and had self confidence in doing so, and greater faith in his self and in the destiny that he could go out here and do. Grace is allowing the universe to guide you. Often we don't know which direction we're going to go in, right? So we start thinking, hey, I need some help. And sometimes you might go to the human collective for the help. But sometimes, deep down inside, it's not always that, because not everybody may see exactly what you're looking at or what you're calling for. But you will have a cheerleading section now. You will have cheerleaders that will be able to back you up and say, yeah, I think that's a good fit for you. Yeah, I think you should go in that direction. Well, we always need a positive hammer, nail, and anvil around us, right? To help us kind of beat out the path and stay on track. The universe will guide you because you are a part of the universe. You're not separated from it. And this is what I was saying just a moment earlier, that even if you don't know how to get to the end, that end point, You could tell yourself repeatedly, I've been successful at this before. I just have to feel what that success is like. And in the feeling of it, I will draw to myself experiences that will take me in that direction. So you are the universe. You are the one unified verse, one song, one note, one element. And that's all you need, because you do have a deep desire. And the word desire comes from the French word désir, which means from the father. But you realize it comes from the mother. The mother houses the seed of the father. So it came from the mother. And in every man, there's a mother. Okay. So you learn how to bring that internal energy up, because that's where grace actually resides. It resides deep inside yourself. Grace is when you affirm and decree without a doubt in your mind. I'll say that again. Grace is when you can affirm and decree without a doubt in your mind. Going back to the scenario of a child. Child saw a bicycle, saw little girl saw a guitar. She wants to play electric guitar because she knows she's supposed to be in an all girls band. So she starts putting it out there. She starts going online and watching young girls play bass guitar, guitar. She starts going to concerts. We can she see other girls so she can see the potential, right? If they're doing it, that she can do it too. And then eventually she goes to her parents and they help her acquire a guitar. They help her acquire guitar lessons. She starts listening to the radio. She starts getting the sheet music. She starts to practice. And next thing you know, she's in an all girls band. She's living the dream. And that's important because we all got to have a dream. Even the late Martin Luther King said it in so many words. If you don't have a dream, your life is nothing really. So you got to keep dreaming. You got to see the ultimate dream. You got to see yourself in the dream. You have to feel yourself in the dream. Not just see yourself on a screen, but you got to feel your own presence within the screen. When you start to feel it, then it becomes. That's why the late Reverend Ike said, let the feeling get the blessing. That's what he meant. If you put your pure feelings behind what you want, after you decide what you want, you put your feelings behind it, your emotional and feelings. You trust your emotions with what you want, and therefore you're like the child. You can feel it. You know you're going to get it. That's just like I think he's still around. Reggie Jackson, who played for the Oakland A's baseball team, and later he was acquired by the Yankees, and he became a spokesperson for the Yankees. And every time the Yankees got into World Series play, he was known as what? Mr. October, because eventually, every third time at bat, he was going to get on base. He was going to hit a double or triple, and eventually he's going to hit the game-winning ball, which is usually a grand slam. He's going to clear the bases. But he knew the electrical charge inside himself and the faith and confidence and being resilient and never giving up, that his moment was going to rise. It was going to show up and he was going to rise to the occasion. That was the same with the football quarterback for the 49ers who used to play for the Chiefs, Joe Montana. That's like the guy now who plays for the Chiefs, Mahomes. He's that guy that makes the play happen. All these athletes, the women that had to surmount, who had to overcome things. That's like Serena and Venus Williams. They got so good at their craft, at the art of playing tennis, they had no, it's not they didn't know that they were going to get it, they expect to get it. They have what? The most grand slams in history. They expected to get it. They had no doubt in their mind. They were the living decree. That was the thing that allowed them to step forward because their father saw greatness in them as a child. Huh? Coming straight out of Compton, one of the roughest cities in the United States. He saw greatness for his daughters and he instilled it in them. And then they eventually instilled it in themselves. Good afternoon, Jackie. And so they began to see that they could do this. It's the same thing that parents or older siblings can instill in the little ones. You can do this. You can make this happen. You can become this scientist. You can become this doctor. You can become this inventor. You can become this composer. What was that lady? Just popped in my mind. Catherine Dunham, Dunham. All of that ballet techniques we see in the world, those were her original concepts. Catherine Dunham, Asiatic Black American woman who created this new way of dance and taught it and caught fire in the world, and everybody does it. Very few people say this is the gift from Catherine Dunham. This is the grace of Catherine Dunham. So we are the grace in action. Grace is when you realize you are the result of all the prayers that came from your ancestors that seeded into the universe. When our ancestors were having a rough time growing, no matter where they were, whether they were sharecroppers, being enslaved, you name it, being abused, they had prayers. And they prayed incessantly. And one of those prayers were accumulation of prayers, accumulation of their grace, because they could still be alive and pray, that the lineage coming after them will live a better life than them. You're a part of that lineage, living a better life than them. I remember telling my brother 2 or 3 years ago, do you know we are already a success without having a business? He said, what? I repeat it again. We are already successful without having a business. My brother's business is to teach music and the cultural affinities and pleasures and treasures of jazz to children. That's what he does out on Long Island. And he's pretty good at it, very good at it, I would say. But I said to him, without him being a musician, without me being an artist or a meditation teacher, I'm still successful. He said, well, what do you mean by that? I said, our parents, with all the ups and downs that they had, they only lived to be 63 years of age or close to 63 years of age. Mom passed 3 months before she turned 63. Dad passed 3 months before he turned 63. The unique thing about this, so they both passed within 2 or 3 or 4 months before they turned 63. I looked at my brother. I said, you're in your mid 70s. I'm just stepping into the 70s. We are a success. Because one of their prayers were, may my offspring live longer than me. We didn't realize they kept planting the seed within us, whatever they taught us, whatever their actions were, however they choose to live, they planted this secret seed in us to do what? Live longer than them. Or like Spock would say, out his fingers were, live long and be prosperous. Or live long and prosper. Prosper is to do what you need to do to put yourself out there, to leave a legacy behind. Leave your footsteps behind so others can see the path that you took in the universe clearly. So what does this mean? This means that tag, the universe is tag, it's on the inside. The higher self is tagging you out here. You are it. Grace says you are it. You're the it factor. You're the key to your own success. You can gather friends, students, clients, relatives, neighbors, strangers, co-workers into your field, but in essence, you are the seed, you are the flower, you are the fruit, and you're the one who reaps it all. But you have to stay in line with your divine nature. You can't stray from your divinity. I'll say that again. You have to stay in line and aligned to your divinity, which is your true nature. You can't stray from it. The minute you stray from your true nature, the nature means the truth of who you truly are that keeps you forever replicating energy onto the planet. The more that you stay true to yourself, the better the opportunity for you to see the blessing that you have become. That's why this title is Breaking News. Your blessings come in small packages, means small ideas coming to you. You learn to affirm the idea. Later, you learn to decree the idea. When grace encircles your heart, our heart is the instrument, the organ, the gland in the body that radiates the most energy, more so than the brain. They say that when a baby is born, the first organ is the heart. There's no brain, there's the heart. The ancient Kemetic people, when they began to mummify the bodies, they were the first to do it. Mummification. They threw away the brain, but they kept the heart. There's a skeletal structure there, no brain in there. Threw that, put that aside, left the heart. That's one way of saying that we all were or are achieving. So that's my message for today. Got any comments? Lay them down here. I'm going to retype the title down here because when other people come, I want them to see. Any comments from anybody? Ari Mott says the heart was weighted against the feather. Yes. Yes, the heart was. And if the heart was what? Lighter, right? If the heart was lighter, wasn't that the meaning that that person's spirit was going to be lifted into the heavens to be with the gods and goddesses of the universe? There's always this opportunity. Yes, right, ascension. And we're ascending every day. There's not one day and not moment of the day when we are not in the process of ascension. Ascension is going on all the time. And it's important that we realize that, because the more we begin to realize that, the greater we will comprehend this process. It actually becomes easier. I want to get the title in here. I didn't put it in before. And now I'm getting it in here. This is in case others come back. So there's this beauty about life, and all life is that. In fact, grace is extended to all parts of nature. It's the grace and the beauty and the harmony What do you say? Linda says, is occasionally procrastination. Let me see if I could. Part of the bar is in the way. Is occasionally procrastination something? Procrastination and body against rest. Do I need to get back on track? Well, in essence, you're already on track because you're realizing you're aware of what's going on. So even though you're in a state of relaxation, it doesn't mean you're off track. It just means you need to put the body at rest for a moment. That's what I've been realizing the past few days. As much as I want to just stay busy, talking to clients, connecting to clients, and doing all of that, if I'm not paying attention to my body when it says, okay, I'm going to give you a sense of dizziness and you're going to fall out. You can fall out in the street or you can fall out in your residence. And so when I feel that need, okay, there's no sense of me staying up and doing this work on the computer, or just sit around here in my living room and watch some TV, sports, whatever. Sometimes I'll pick a child's movie. Why? Because the child's movie has a lot of messages in it. Therefore, I'm relaxing and recuperating and receiving the message in another way. Last night, I was in the middle of working on my latest manuscript, and I saved it, got up, walked away from the computer, and stretched out on the bed, and I slept. Now I figured I'm just going to lay down for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I was actually, when I walked in there, it was 9 o'clock. And when I woke up, it was 1:11 a.m. So I needed that rest, 4 hours. Then I got back, came to the computer, worked another hour or two by rereading the manuscript in different sections and making some corrections, making sure everything was okay. Then I saved it all, shut it down, and went to bed. Sometimes we have to take ourselves out of the loop so we can see the loop. Thank you. Well, I took it upon myself when I first started teaching, when I knew a little something about Tai Chi Chuan, and I first started teaching Tai Chi back in 1979, 1980, when I lived on Long Island. People used to say, you're never going to get any students. And I would say, why? They say, you're too playful. I said, well, do you remember learning the nursery rhymes being angry? They said, no. I said, you learned the nursery rhymes of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You didn't learn it from a state of being angry. You learned it from a state of being joyful and happy. I said, I can get more mileage. I can reach more students or the students in my class by being jovial. Many of my meditation students out here will tell you, I tell the corniest jokes in a meditation class. Why? Because it breaks up the monotony of teaching. And by breaking up the monotony, they see me laugh. They say, wow, this guy laughs at the corniest of things. Well, it takes the stress off of me. It reopens me up on a higher level. It relaxes my mind. And I become the student again instead of just being the teacher. Because the teacher is a guider, a leader or guider. And that's about it. It's the job of the teacher to teach you some things and hold the door open. Become the door stopper. Hold the door open so you can go through the door to the next level. I used to think when I was teaching, how come I don't have no students? How come the students don't ask questions? No, I didn't realize I was answering all their questions in advance. I was getting out so much energy and so much information, they were learning a lot. And then I didn't see them again. And then I had to learn the hard way. Put your ego aside. You taught. Now the universe will bring you more people. And it's not a crowd of people. It's going to bring you the person who resonates with your energy. So that's another thing about grace. The things that you receive in your life through grace is a balance. Your heart is the bridge between the mundane world and the spiritual and metaphysical world or the cult world. Your heart radiates, pulsates, is putting out this electromagnetic field of like 0.017 volts in each cell, basically. And if you got trillions of cells, you got 31, 37, whatever, 31.7 million trillion billions of voltage going out into the universe, or amperes going out into the universe. We're constantly pulsating all the time, 24/7. Sooner or later, your frequency matches the frequency of your environment that you're going into and the people that are in that environment. And those people will connect with you, or perhaps one will connect with you. And my ancestors, my late mother and them, they always used to say, all you got to do is reach one. You reach the right one, that right one spreads the truth of who you are to others. Why? Because they become the hype man and the hype woman. But you got to just keep doing what you're doing. You can't be looking for the crowd. Just keep doing what you're doing. You will attract the crowd. When I used to practice Tai Chi on Long Island in the parks, I would go someplace where I couldn't be seen. But sooner or later, somebody's on either side of the path walking the dog, and the dog want to hang out. Why? Because I'm emitting some pretty powerful unconditional love vibrations where the dog wants to sit and bathe in the energy, or a wild rabbit wants to sit and bathe in the energy. One time I had a wild rabbit, he's within 3 feet of me, and he was moving when I was moving. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to step on a little creature. Didn't step on it, it just moved within the range of my energy field. And when I stopped, it stopped. But as soon as my mind came back to mundane things, it shot away. But I maintained not the mundane, but the spiritual side of what I was doing, just focusing on unconditional love, grace, peace, harmony, and happiness. All things around me were doing the same thing. We're in harmony. Peace was prevailing. So grace means tag, you're it. Grace means you are the one that's triggering your environment with positive thoughts, positive feelings, positive thinking, positive results. You don't have to worry about what's going to go on in the middle, because if you have a clear intention in your mind of exactly what you're looking for, the universe picks up on the rest of it and makes it happen. You just have to open your heart, open your mind, open your hands to receive. So that's the message for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a last minute journey putting this together. Uh, I'm glad that you're here to receive it. Share this out with other people if you can, if you want to. I'll see many of you this Sunday. Is it this Sunday? Yeah, this Sunday is December the 3rd. Look at that. We're at the last day of November, and Sunday will be December the 3rd. So, what's that? 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the paid Creative Pathwork Meditation Series. $20 for ages 62 and above and less. 25 for those of you that are beneath that age. Come on and enjoy and have a great time. We're going to enlighten. One of the things I've been doing since I'm working on my manuscript is I'm gearing it more to what the higher self is, because that's what the book is about. It's about getting in touch with your higher self and bringing it into the world, and not let it, be idle. And so I'm going to start teaching a little bit more loosely from my manual on those first Sundays to help us graduate, help us to ascend in our consciousness. I want to thank everybody. Arit Mayat. I hope I'm always saying it right. I like to say your other name, but I won't. Evelyn Samara Woods, Linda Garcia, Jackie Fillmore Antoine, Barbara Ewing. Oh, yeah. The universe is cooking, right? It's making me do what I need to do. I'm going to take a little nap after this. I'm going to lie down and get my beauty sleep on. Um, when you're teaching this stuff, uh, I would say the difference between myself and other people is I realized I don't need to hold on to all this information. Sometimes you just need to lay it out and let the universe do the work. And if it's meant for people to receive these teachings, they will receive them in the way that they're supposed to receive them. So I thank all of you for stopping by today and sharing and the listening. And like I say, tell other people about this. When it sets back in the system here at Resonant Essentials YouTube channel, you can click on the share button and give you the copy of the link, and then you can just share it across your platform on if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever. Thanks for stopping by. I look forward to being on next week, which will be Friday, December the 8th, 2023. We have a few more Fridays to go before the year is over, and then we start out fresh. And man, I got to set up these other classes because we're approaching the end of the year, and I got to be ready for the next batch of classes starting in February and March that I'm going to be doing. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much for being supportive as you've always been and being here. May you have a blessing the rest of your day and tomorrow and the weekend coming up. Take care now and see you soon.